Why excuses are alibis that lie. How to use emotional intelligence to turn your irresponsibility into emotional empowerment. So, first of all, what are excuses? Excuses are lip service. That's what they are. They are lip service that you give to make someone else responsible for your lack of accountability. So it's not doing anything that you think it's doing to make you look better or sometime or somehow appear like you're doing what you're supposed to do. Because if you don't know what excuses are, then you just haven't been paying attention because I know you've either heard them or used them yourself. So I'll give you some examples. So one excuse could be, I didn't understand, or I was confused. But what that really is saying is that I have a lack of critical thinking because I had a question and I didn't go and try to find out the information. Or you might say, well, I had to do this for my kids, or this at home, or you didn't remind me, or time got away from me. You know what that's really saying is that you don't own the things that you're responsible for. You say that nobody told me, or I just thought, well, that means that you are passing the buck to someone else. You're making someone else responsible for your lack of responsibility. And that's not good. And it is not a good representation of who you are or who you want to be. Essentially, you're attempting to cover up the fact that you didn't do what you said you would do. Whether that was in a contractual agreement with your job, whether that was with your kids when you promised to do something, or your mate, or if you don't keep your word and make excuses, it doesn't look good. So, excuses, we all use them from time to time. But what I'm here to tell you is that those excuses are actually holding you back from becoming the best version of yourself. Did you know that? So let's explore how we can shift from excuses to empowerment using the power of emotional intelligence. See, emotional intelligence is like a superpower, right? It helps us understand our emotions. It helps us to manage stress and to communicate more effectively. When you build your emotional quotient or your emotional intelligence, excuses, they lose their power, they lose their grip, and empowerment takes over. You no longer defer to those old lies that you used to say when you didn't do what you were supposed to do. You have a new way of looking at yourself, first of all, and a new way of behaving. You know, I want you to watch until the end of this video, and I will tell you how to refuse to say the one excuse that will ruin your emotional future. You know, because what happens when excuses become part of our regular dialogue? And for some people, they are. Making excuses, it just ruins your credibility because no one can trust what you say. No one can trust that you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And if you do the action, no one trusts that you're going to do it to the best of your ability or to the standard that's required. Because typically, when you make excuses, it's excuse because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. And essentially, making excuses on a regular basis, it diminishes your self confidence and shows others that you're really not ready for more access. You're really not ready for more responsibility or more trust because trust has to be earned. You know this. This is not anything new. You know how easy it is for somebody to lose trust. It is quadruple the effort to get it back. And there's no telling how long it would take. So why would you go around ruining relationships, ruining your reputation, and ruining credibility just because you're making excuses? There needs to be trust in every relationship. I know that you want to trust people who you're in a relationship with. They need to trust you too. Okay. And the only way that they can trust you is not by just what you say, but it's about what you say and what you do. Once trust is ruined by excuses, it's hard to regain it. Okay. So here are some instances of excuse making that really, really bugs me. And every time I get excuses or hear these excuses, it's like scraping nails across the chalkboard for me because I just feel like the person giving the excuse hasn't given themselves a chance to be a better person or to be the person that they are pretending to be. Okay. So here's one instance in business or in a customer service situation. Listen, the worst thing you can do is tell me about an internal or corporate policy or factor that prohibited you from doing what you were supposed to do for me, whether that's in food service, whether that is, something that went wrong and I'm addressing it, or, whatever I need as a customer. And you're telling me of some internal policy that really has nothing to do with me because I'm the end user, but you're going to run it down for me as a reason why you couldn't help me? Unacceptable. Definitely unacceptable. And that's happened to me a number of times, like in restaurants and places like that. And I am an easygoing girl. I can forgive people, I can let people slide when it's really not anything that's in their control. But when you blatantly making excuses, or I could say you're blatantly lying, then I can see that as if you're wearing a red flag, right? I can see that. So in restaurants, I've had people say, "Oh, well, your food is delayed because I'm new. I'm a new server." No, honey, it has nothing to do with you being a new server. The food is coming from the kitchen, right? Or if we're in customer service and I'm due a refund or I'm due some exception, and they tell me, well, you have to do this for so long before we can do. No, I don't want to hear that. I've worked in customer service and did very well as a customer service representative. I worked well for the customer and for the company that I work for. And you can't tell me that there aren't exceptions. I don't want to hear it. Okay, so all I'm saying is, even in a business or work situation, excuses don't work. When people make excuses for other people, this is another time where excuses just really, they just really bug me because it's not necessary. People make excuses for other people sometimes to make themselves look better. And here's what I mean. In dating situations, and this happened a lot more when I was younger, when, all of my contemporaries were meeting new people and dating more often. I do have single friends now, but I'm not single, so I really don't hear these instances as often, except when I'm working with clients. Well, when people give excuses for other people in the romance area, well, I know he's busy, he just hasn't called me. Or we are going to go out, but he had to do this, that, and the other for somebody else. Or we've been together this long, but he really doesn't know how to love. So I don't know if we're going to get married. Girl, bye. Goodbye. All of that is a lie that you're making up to make yourself look better in the relationship. Well, first of all, it's not necessary. You don't have to go through the details with someone else about what you're dealing with in a budding relationship that may or may not last. The second thing is, why are you making excuses? Why are you lying for someone else when they aren't being honest with you? They aren't being upfront with you. They're not being real, keeping it 100. None of that with you, but you are going to take and make excuses, damaging your credibility for them. Here's what I have to say about people who do this in dating relationships. You need to work on yourself. And what I mean by that is, yeah, this person might have been ideal for you, or you thought they were ideal for you, but they obviously don't feel the same way about you. You don't have to make excuses for someone who's not calling you or not coming to see you or not picking you up for dates or doing whatever it is the expectation is, because people do what they want to do. And so when people want to do right by you, they don't make excuses why something didn't go the way that it was supposed to or you thought it was going to go, because excuses are not reasons. Reasons are explanations of what took place that prevented the favorable outcome, what actually took place, things that are out of your control, things that you could not have possibly foreseen as a reason why you were not able to complete a task or meet a deadline or return a call. There are reasons sometimes, but most times there aren't. Most times people produce excuses because they are trying to make up for something that they didn't do. Because excuses are randomly selected circumstances that sound like alibis for irresponsibility. It's like, oh, well, this would work. I mean, there's no way that they can refute that this didn't happen. But let me tell you something, a real emotionally intelligent person is going to see through that. Okay. Some reasons are plausible, some are not. Don't make me try to seem ignorant. Don't try to make me seem ignorant by not telling the truth. Okay. So, the study of emotional intelligence helps you to regulate your emotions and take responsibility for yourself in every way. Your interpersonal communication and self awareness drives the direction of your life in a positive way. If you never take the time to assess where you are, what you're doing, who you're surrounded by, what are you doing to move your life forward in a positive way, then you will make excuses because you haven't taken account of who you are and whose you are and your capabilities and your potential. Instead, you sat in the place where you've always been doing the things that you've always done. And now your communication suffers because you have to make excuses for why you're not doing the best that you can. And sometimes the excuse just comes from you didn't put in enough effort. Like I could have done better, but I didn't, and so you use an excuse to cover that fact up. Emotional clarity, which you would do by becoming self aware, gives you the confidence to commit to things that you can do and to refuse the things that you can't do or won't do. There's always going to be a time when you have to say no. And in my book, Brains and Baubles Do What Works for You, I talk about how to say no in a way that's not off putting. And it is depends on the circumstance, it depends on the relationship, it depends on whether or not you even value some aspect of the relationship. Because if it's a stranger, you might behave differently with your no than if it's someone that you love or work with. Okay. And then some things you just won't do. You need to express that. It's not a good look for you to say yes to something knowing that you really mean no, or knowing that this isn't in your wheelhouse, or knowing that this isn't something that you like to do or want to do. Be honest. That's where accountability and emotional intelligence are best, when you're honest with yourself and honest with the people around you. So you would then turn your excuse making into accountability so that you can be the person that is ready for the responsibility that comes with being the person that you dreamed of becoming. Listen, you can't be a boss, meaning running a company, or you can't do the things that you've dreamed of doing where you are in leadership or you have some type of power, or even if you're building something on your own and it's just you. You can't do that if you make excuses. You can't do that if you're lying to yourself. You can't do that if you don't take ownership, right, of where you are and what you're doing. So why do people make excuses in the first place is the question that I really want to know. Because, as you mature, as you go through life, you understand that honesty and truth and accountability is what helps you to progress. It's what helps you to get further. It's what helps you to have genuine friends, relationship, and support. Okay. But excuses, and people use excuses, like I said earlier, when they haven't done their part in the agreement, or they're unsure of themselves and operating in a fixed mindset. There's a difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. So, a fixed mindset is where you have a number of things that you need to work on going on in your emotional life. You, number one, have um, the inability to take feedback and actually make adjustments in your life to better whatever that circumstance is. With a fixed mindset, you're not going to step outside of your regular bubble and do things that are going to make your life better or give you a better opportunity to contribute to society, right? With a fixed mindset, you see that everyone is looking at you and judging you. Like, I don't care what people think about me. I mean, I thought when I hit my 40s that I was just going to say that. And that's what someone had told me, that when you hit 40, you don't care what other people think. I thought that that would just be an automatic thing, but it is something that you have to work on. But as you go through life, you understand that, look, I'm really out here in this world by myself. Nobody is coming to save me. So, what the growth mindset, which is right in line with emotional intelligence, does, it allows you the freedom to take on feedback, to work more on yourself, to find and identify those areas that you can improve about you, nobody else, that you can improve about yourself that makes you a charismatic, well rounded, great communicator, problem solver, critical thinker. Okay. And that's the way you're going to get to wherever you want to be in your life. And then some people use excuses because they just don't care. Whatever the situation is, it didn't mean enough for them to actually do what they said they were going to do, or follow up, or even just communicate with you that something has changed. They don't care. And when I get the sense that someone doesn't care, and since other people outside of my house don't really impact the things that I'm doing and how I feel about myself, if I recognize that someone doesn't care either about me, my circumstance, and sometimes about themselves, those are the people that I leave alone. Those are the people that I leave out of my life, leave out of my circumstances, and don't include in the grand scheme of things of how successful my life is going to be. Because if they don't care, then how can I care? I can't take that energy away from the things I do care about to address something that somebody else doesn't care about. If that makes sense, I know you got it. Play this over again and listen to that again, because I think it was a great statement. Okay. But leading with excuses doesn't cover up, it doesn't hide the fact that you didn't do what you were supposed to do, that you shirked off your responsibility. Leading with excuses, it just amplifies your lack of critical thinking. It amplifies your poor communication skills. So, making this change from being an excuse maker to a person who is emotionally empowered and takes ownership for the things in their lives, it runs deeper than just not having a skill that someone should have taught you when you were younger. I had a client tell me yesterday, which is really what inspired this video today. We were going through a discussion, and then she said, "My goodness, I left the nest too soon. I didn't get all the things that I should have by now to be successful in my interpersonal self because I left the nest too soon." Well, I mean, things happen in people's lives for a different reason, and maybe they don't get everything they need from home. And maybe home wasn't the place to get some of these skills. But here's what I have to tell you: you're here now. You're grown now. You have the ability. There are sources and resources to help fill in those gaps where you missed something growing up. But unless you start practicing emotional intelligence, you won't even know where those holes are. You won't even understand what you need. It takes contemplation and self awareness to find out what was left out of the nest or what you didn't get in the nest, and then determine how you're going to get it now. So, a lot of excuses have more to do with how you handle the emotions than it does a need to appear as if you're handling all your business. A couple of videos ago, I talked about inadequacy and how inadequacy, is really what keeps your mouth shut. I think it was called how the cat has your tongue. Is because when you feel weak or you feel underdeveloped in some area of your life, you back up and shy away, and your insecurities show themselves. So you feel inadequate. So sometimes inadequacy keeps you from being stuck, keeps you from moving forward. But there is a difference between inadequacy and irresponsibility. See, irresponsibility has everything to do with a decision you make to either do something or not do something, or to do it with excellence or to the best of your ability, or just halfway do it. So irresponsibility is totally on you. Inadequacy, yeah, I could give it a little bit. Maybe you didn't get something, but irresponsibility, you're the one. You're the one, good and grown person. You're the one who didn't do what you said. But you know what? All of it can be changed. There are resources available for you, and I have several resources that you can use to start your journey into becoming a sophisticated, empowered woman. So, ready to step into your power and conquer those excuses? Well, listen, join me in my upcoming Sophisticated Empowerment course, where we'll delve even deeper into mastering emotional intelligence. Let's break free from excuses together and embrace a life of empowerment. You know, there are still some places, spaces still available in the program. It just launched today. So you can go to my website, www.davinadandrige.com. You can sign in there, get your seat. Okay. And you know what? We will start this cohort when I have it all full, but you don't have to wait. Go ahead. Let's start this train rolling right now. Okay, because taking steps to understand emotional intelligence puts you on the right track to manage and regulate other areas of your life so you can be the person you've always wanted to be. So many people just sit in the place where they are. Yeah, you know, when the Mega Millions and the Powerball gets to be a certain level, yeah, I'll play. I've been to Las Vegas. You know, I go to the casinos every now and then. I'm not a great big gambler, but sometimes, that's fun. It works. But you can't rest on chance to give you the life that you want. You have to do that. You are in control of you, right? You're in control of what happens to you and how you handle things that happen to you. So you need to be a certain type of way to achieve the things that you want to achieve. And I'm not saying exactly what it is you want to achieve. That's up to you. What's going to make you happy is a personal decision. And because there are all these factors that have already taken place in your life that determine what's going to make you happy. So I can't judge that. But what I can tell you is that if you're not the person that you want to be at this very moment, if you're not living the lifestyle in the place, doing the thing with the fulfillment that you desire right now, that's because you're not yet that person. You're not yet that person who can build whatever it is that you want to build. You're not that person who can handle the responsibility. You're not that person who can go about life owning, right, their portion of life, for taking accountability for where they are and what they say they're going to do. You have to become that person in order to receive all of the things that it is that you want. You've heard the phrase where much is given, much is required. Listen, if it's given to you today, what you're required to have in order to keep it or build it or make it for everybody else to do something good, you don't yet have that yet. Really, I'm still developing myself. It's a constant work to get to the place where I ultimately want to be. And even when I get to my next level, there's still going to be work for me to do because I'm constantly wanting to grow, as you should. So let's start now becoming the person with the ability to own who you are and what you do so that you can do what it is you want to do. Because in reality, excuses make you look weak, they make you look ignorant and incapable of the basic adult skills to manage life. When you make excuses, other people know. Once you begin to focus on managing your emotions, you start using skills that build your inner person. So you no longer use excuses as alibis. You don't default to a one-liner. I didn't know. Oh, nobody told me. Oh, nobody told me. With all of the access we have to information, with the ability to open our mouths and ask questions, why are you letting somebody else control what it is that you know? Okay. But if you turn this boat around, which we can do by studying emotional intelligence, you begin to take accountability for the things going on in your life. You become a big picture thinker, or you have vision for what you want your life to be like. You master time management. And a lot of excuses come from lack of time management. There are tools available on your phone right now, on your computer, that help you with time management, setting alerts, putting things in your calendar. It's not that difficult. Time management is what keeps you from missing deadlines. Time management allows you to set up a process so you can do what it is you need to do within the time allotted, so you can do it well. You typically, if I have something that happens every month on a certain day, I put it in my calendar. Then I set an alert for either a week or a couple of days or a couple of hours before to trigger or remind me so that I don't miss it. It's that simple. Use what you got. Then you need to prioritize. Everything doesn't have the same sense of urgency. And only you can evaluate what should take precedence over another thing or another task. But you have to sit down and prioritize. If all you do is write down the tasks you have to do and then put them in order by sense of urgency, then you are already taking steps to become that person who can do what it is you want to do. And the most important part is communication, interpersonal communication, communicating with another person, especially when it's uncomfortable. When you've agreed to do something and you realize, oh, I might not make it. Oh, I really don't understand this. I need to get clarity. Or I need more help, actually. I thought I could do this by myself, but I can't. You need to be able to communicate those things. That's what adds to your credibility. That's what builds your self-esteem. Because if you're making an excuse, you're always waiting on the ball to drop. Somebody gonna see you. Somebody gonna figure it out and they're gonna call you to it, right? But if you are a good communicator, then there's no reason that someone has to pull you to the carpet for something that you've explained or something that you proactively determined needed to be addressed. So all of these great all of these great attributions are now placed on you. You are accountable. You're a great communicator. You do handle the business that you need to handle, right? And you get all of this description instead of being called an excuse maker or a liar. Okay. So as promised, here is the one excuse that will stifle your future. And this excuse is a decision that you make, right? You don't want to know what it is. Here it comes. It's a 2-word phrase. Well, it could be 3, but for this sake, it's 2 words. I can't, right? You may as well say I won't. Because you make the decision on what you can do and what you can't do. So you say, Davina, what do you mean I can't? I can't physically do something. Okay, listen, you know what I'm talking about. Anything that someone else has done, whether you see it on television, whether it's somebody you know, someone at work, your friend or your relative, they have done something, they've built something, they have something, possess something, earned something, and it's something that you desire. The only reason that they have it and you don't is because you said, I can't or I won't. And what the difference is that they said, I will, and they started working on it. So you, like my dad used to say, you got to get off your rusty dusty and do or learn about that thing that you want to do so you can do it. So you can do it. When you say I can't, then that's what it is. You've already decided in your mind that this isn't for you. You're not even going to try. You can't. So like I said, you could just say, I won't. Because it takes intention to unlock your true potential. You can't just sit there and dream all day long about what you want or what you want to do. You have to take steps. So, in order to unlock your potential, you have to purposely do things to get there. Empowerment isn't just about saying I can and then it's going to happen. It's about believing it, feeling it, and living it and doing it and constantly working. And this where is emotional intelligence plays a crucial role in your potential because that self-awareness, as you build your self-awareness, you start eliminating the self-doubt. And self-doubt is what keeps you from taking action. Emotional intelligence is going to let you clear out all of the BS or find out how to address the trauma or things that in your past that have probably stifled you. Emotional intelligence is going to give you a plan to address it because you are able to identify your emotional triggers. And then if you work on those emotional triggers, you start developing more skills that lead you and help you to be where it is you want to be. Finding your potential isn't as hard as you think it is. You just have to understand who you are in order to be able to make a plan to take actions to do those things. So imagine a life where excuses no longer hold you back. Imagine a life where you are the architect of your own success. And the first step, words are important. So say what you want, don't say what you don't want. So don't say I can't. I had someone tell me the other day they were going through a hard time. And a situation happened, and somebody else made a decision in a hiring process. And, you know, they just wanted to vent. I just want to vent. But within the process of venting, they're saying all of these things they didn't want. And I had to stop them. I said, hey, 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 what you're doing right now is not helping your situation, it's making it worse. I know you feel that you need to vent, but you don't need to vent right now. What you need to do is pray because I can't help you with this problem. I can't change someone else's decision. But what can happen is if you pray is that God can work on your heart. He can make you see things differently. He can calm you down. You can stop operating out of fear, okay? And you can stop accepting what the devil, the world, or circumstances has you to believe to be true about yourself and find out what's really going on. So instead of venting to somebody and saying what you don't want and talking down on someone else's situation and just elaborating on things that are not positive, say what you want. Pray. You got to learn how to change your mind and change your thinking. Remember, I said emotions are translate into your thinking. Your thinking influences your behavior, and your behavior influences your environment. Your words create all of these instances. You keep saying self-doubt and having self-doubt, it's going to diminish your credibility to yourself because you make excuses anyway. So you're lying to other people and to yourself. Okay. But if you address the emotional triggers that have you feeling this sort of way, then you build up your self-confidence. There is no phrase weaker than I can't. Okay. I can't doesn't work credibility wise. It doesn't work in the boardroom. If you sitting around a boardroom table and you say I can't, okay, then you done. There are other phrases you can say, well, let me see. In love relationships, if your mate asks you to do something and your first response is I can't, then maybe that's not the person you need to be with because whoever I go hard for my husband. I just do. He goes hard for me, I believe. To me, he goes hard for me. So if he asks me to do something, either I'm going to try or I'm going to explain why I'm not, or I won't. but I'm not just going to leave it out there and say I can't. That's lame. Okay. Even with your children, I can't is terrible because it shows them how to express themselves. It shows them how to handle situations. Like my daughter, when there are things that she asks for coming up, I would say, I will see. Maybe. Let me let you know at this time, because that's setting an expectation. And if for some reason it doesn't pan out that this is going to come through the way or the time that we wanted to, then she's not disappointed. But I said more yeses than I did, I'll think about it. Now, because she needs bigger and bigger things, it's like, let's work it out. Let's set up a date that we can, sit and talk about it, and then we'll set up a timeline. So instead of saying I can't, you either say yes, no, or I'll see. Those are all acceptable responses as opposed to I can't. Okay. So here it is. Your mission is to work on yourself, all of yourself. Okay. Something so small as making excuses needs to be worked on, because you want to work with excellence, right? So when you do get feedback, you understand that that feedback is purely based on performance, especially in work. That feedback is purely based on performance and not personal, because feedback is a tool to help you get better. It's not a tool that's used for personal attack. Otherwise, that's not feedback. There are instances where you need feedback. If you never get feedback, then you can go in a direction that is not good for whatever the situation is that you weren't intending to go on. Somebody has to help you. There's always somebody to give you feedback, especially in relationships. You need to have that dialogue with your partner to understand, am I participating in this relationship right? Am I doing my job to the standard or quality that is acceptable? Am I working on my life to the degree that I am really trying to be a better person all around, right? There are no excuses needed when you know that you've done your best. So that's how I'm going to end it today. Okay. So thank you for tuning in today. Remember, it's time to rise above those excuses and become the master of your destiny. Until next time, stay empowered, sophisticated, and intelligent. For more insights on emotional intelligence, empowerment, and personal growth, be sure to subscribe to the Brains and Baubles channel. Hit the bell icon to get notified when we release new episodes. Until then, stay empowered.